When it comes to manifestation and unlocking your nature to create and create the thing that you desire versus randomly and unconsciously create, there are three things you must be mindful about. Three things that you must take seriously as far as cultivating and developing the skills and the purpose behind why you have these tools, okay? Now, we've talked about the fact that your body, your race, your gender, your experiences, your thoughts, your emotions are not who you are, but in fact, the tools by which you can use to create and generate the way of being and the essence or the energy to actually materialize what it is that you want, you being your consciousness. Now, as we go into understanding these tools, let's get into the three main tools, right? The three main things, what I call the Trinity of manifestation. Now, these three things are areas or aspects of who you are or aspects of the expression of who you are to actually help you the most in materializing and manifesting the things that you desire. Many times, people only focus on one of these three, when it is way easier to focus on all three, believe it or not, because if you focus on one, you're really kind of throwing the dice at what it is that you're able to materialize and manifest. So what I'm going to start with is the first one. And this is the one that we commonly hear people talk about when it comes to manifestation, and that is the mind. When we think about the mind, we often just think about our thoughts, but the mind encompasses techniques such as visualization, just such as affirmation, right? Such as even speech. Now, what I want you to understand is when you are thinking about using the mind as a generator of energy toward your ability to materialize something, you must take into account that everything that your mind does is geared towards creating a solution, finding an answer to a problem. That is exactly what the mind and the brain is about, right? So as you go on this journey as to really aligning these three areas or three tools of who you are and what you can actually create and achieve, you have to understand that the mind is one of those things that we acknowledge because it is our thought process. It is a thing we often identify with as being self, when in fact, these aren't who you really are, right? They're just expressions, byproducts, manifestations of conditioning and habits and belief systems that will pass down from person to person. But when we think about it from a place of consciousness, then we understand that those things aren't really true. They are just expressions of the false self, meaning the ego, which is also a part of the mind. And so when we understand and break down those concepts and those paradigms, we then can use consciousness to actually productively use the mind in a way that aligns with creating the desire, the experience that you want. And so how you do so is by first inputting information that aligns with what it is that you wish or what it is that you desire. This is about curating your environment, because your environment is essentially the thing that is going to feed the mind. It's going to feed your thoughts. It's going to feed your emotions. It's going to feed your belief system. And your belief system is the thing that is the foundation by which you build upon when it comes to manifestation. If you don't believe something, then it is almost impossible for you to materialize it and manifest it. And so you have to work on belief systems. You have to work on how you speak, how you think, how you process your emotions in order for you to generate the proper energy or frequency that aligns with what it is you desire, which is ultimately what it is that you are made to actually create. And so you have to think about your mind as a tool, not as who you are, because you are not your mind. Your mind is simply a tool that is used to problem solve any situation that you're in to create the outcome that you desire. And that's all it is. But it's a very complicated, complex, and advanced machine, computing machine. Think of it as the most advanced computer possible. When you think about your computer, you don't think I am my computer, right? You think of your computer as a tool by which you get certain things, objectives, missions done, okay? It is a thing that allows you to live in a place that of more convenience and simplicity and get things done faster, right? To obtain or to achieve a particular objective or mission. So being mindful about your mind and what exactly it is taking in is very important, because remember, you are the creator of your reality, and your mind is the tool by which it creates this reality. When your mind is not in alignment with your consciousness, remember, your consciousness is infinite. Your consciousness is the individualized expression of that which we call God, infinite intelligence, the source, the universe. And it has no limitations. And the mind must coincide with that understanding, that experience, that belief system. Because if the mind is not in alignment with that, then it's going to create restrictions. If it has an understanding of limitations, those limitations are going to stop you and stop your consciousness from actually materializing and manifesting that which you desire. So you have to really make sure that you include and receive information that is not going to limit or restrict your mind from finding solutions and answers to current situations or challenges, that's going to allow your consciousness to create what it is supposed to create, what it is supposed to materialize. You see? So taking information that is going to align and be basically in a positive frequency or alignment with that which you want. In other words, train yourself to be an optimistic, right? Train yourself to think positively about approaching and going after what you want. That doesn't mean you're not, quote unquote, being realistic, which I can't stand that word, because realistic is just an expression or a way of thinking that life only stops with what you have seen or experienced, when in fact, there is more to it than that. Those who break records, those who go beyond and go further than anybody else has gone before, do so because they are not being realistic. They do so because they are following consciousness. So your job is to limit, right, those limitations, get rid of those limitations, and in fact, allow yourself to be open to the infinite possibilities of all that you wish and desire to create. Now, when we get into the second one, all right, mind, body, right? Your body is a generator. Your body is made to move. When you are tired or exhausted, the best thing to do is to move, to actually get going, to do a few jumping jacks, right? To take a walk around the block. Once you do that, you will feel more rejuvenated and more energized. That is because that is what your body is designed to do. Now, it is made to do so in order for you to take action toward whatever it is that you wish to do and wish to create and what it is that you desire. It is possible to attract simply by visualizing with only your mind, but it is more practical and more probable to do so when you include the actions of the body. When you do so, you are not only making it more probable, but you are expediting, in other words, making it happen faster when you include taking action, okay? Because yes, somebody can just simply sit, meditate, visualize all day, 24/7 for a certain time frame, but if they include action with the visualization, the person who does that will in fact materialize that thing much faster than the person who doesn't include the body, you see? So recognize the importance of your body, and this is why it is so important to encompass things like, fitness, eating right, being mindful about your body, your movement, making sure you are moving. Even for those who tend to overtrain and move too much, it's important to balance that out with proper rest, such as sleep, okay? So you have to be mindful about that as well. Now, think about this in terms of understanding that all these three things encompasses the completion of this machine that you have. This machine is designed for you to materialize what it is that the consciousness desires. So when you think about the mind, you're thinking about the processing unit. When you think about the body, you're thinking about the hardware, right? The thing that actually moves to get things going, to get things done, to move things from one place to another. And now finally, as we've gone over mind, body, you may have guessed it. The third is spirit. That thing, that intangible thing that we can't really pinpoint, we can't really identify, explain, we can't touch it, but it fuels everything else. Where we're not in tune with spirit, okay, which is that thing that we understand as intuition, that thing we understand as essentially your consciousness speaking through you, speaking to you, and pushing you to actually move forward in a way that aligns with your ultimate purpose, okay? Now, the mind, many of us think the mind is consciousness. It is not. The mind is simply a machine or a processing unit, a computer that receives and downloads consciousness and thus can input and export like information, right? It can take information in, download information, and then it can put it out in a way that is practical and gets things done, right? Gives you an answer, a solution. The body is then made to actually execute that, to take action, to move and make that action real, all right? Because we are real physical beings, then it is important that we take real physical action. The spirit is the thing that fuels you and gives you the desire. It gives you the emotions like, excitement, joy, even sadness, but it allows you to really be animated with everything else, right? It animates your mind, it animates your body. And so when you have to think about all these three things, you recognize the importance of making sure all three of these tools are harnessed in a way that can generate the energy properly, right? Generate the maximum amount of energy to, in fact, help you to materialize that which you desire as fast as possible. Now, when we think about maximizing this energy and using these tools as generators to essentially generate as much energy as possible to materialize and manifest what you want, you have to understand that it's relative. Like everybody's going to be different because you have different capabilities. Some people have a better mental processing unit than others, right? Some people have a better physical athletic ability than others. Some people have better intuition, right? And understanding of emotions and connecting with the source, right? That is with spirit than others. You have to recognize your tools and what tools you use the best. But that doesn't mean you get to neglect all the other ones. You have to bring those up, okay? Don't just focus on one aspect. Focus on all three, but recognize where your gifts lie. And when you recognize that, then you can use that to bring the others up, okay? So some people are better at athletics, and they can use that to tap into the spiritual aspects of themselves, right? They can use that to increase their ability to think things through, mentally, right? So you can bring all these three things up when you focus on one, but recognizing that all the other two must be connected, right? You must correlate those somehow. And so it's important to recognize this Trinity, because when you just recognize just only one thing and focus on one thing, it's going to slow down your process in materializing your desire. And ultimately is going to hinder you from being the true creator of your reality, okay? You are essentially still creating your reality, but you're not creating the reality that you want at your most optimal level because you are hindering yourself from using all the tools available to yourself. This is why we have these tools. And when we don't use them, then it takes away from the vast experience that we are supposed to live and have. Okay, so recognize all three of these elements, right? Your mind, your body, and your spirit. This is why these three things are so important when it comes to religion and spirituality, because all of these things, right, all of these teachings understand the foundation, the fundamentals of manifestation. It is not just simply about connecting with an external God. It's really about connecting with the internal God, the God within, the God that is you. So when you recognize that when you use all three of these things and you work on them, the better you get, the closer you get to the self-realization as to you being the creator of your universe. Thank you so much. Feel free to go to drabundant.com, subscribe to my newsletter, and also get access to this free ebook, The Power Within. Continue to join me on this journey. Peace and abundance always.